So let's just address it. Coming from Canada to California, being here in Pacific, you're from West Coast.
I'm from Quebec.
Quebec,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I'm from Ontario.
Ontario, okay,
Yeah.
so a little more East Coast mid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might be a little more similar for you, but coming from Canada down to California and playing at Pacific, what's that transition like? I mean, you guys have been here for a little while now, but what's that transition like coming to play here?
For me, like since I was the first one here, it wasn't really a crazy transition. I feel like it'd be the same answer for them too, because we've already been traveling for so long playing water polo as part of junior national teams for Canada. So it wasn't anything new for us. So I felt pretty comfortable just coming down here to travel and play water polo.
Well, just for me, it's just the game's a little bit different, a little bit faster, a little bit more movement. They reward more movement, so the way we play internationally sometimes doesn't fly here, so we just had to adapt that way.
Yeah, and then on the note of just transitioning, like, I came last out of the three of us, so I've only been here a year, but we live together, we play on the national team together, we play college together, so the transition was pretty easy. I mean, I moved in with two of my best friends, so it was cool.
And on that note, I mean, you guys could probably go to, say, another Canadian, whether it's a member of your team or someone who even wasn't, who is looking at Pacific. You guys could probably give them a lot of advice. You know, what would you say to someone who is maybe thinking about coming to play here at Pacific, who is a Canadian?
I'd definitely talk a lot about Stockton, how it is here. That's the biggest transition, coming to Stockton. Like I didn't really know what it was like until I came here. And then like it's very unique from like all other places I've been.
Definitely, yeah. You hear Stockton, California, you just think palm trees in California, you know? So come down here, it's not exactly what you think it is. But yeah, on that note of just like what advice we would give to Canadians, I think there's a pretty big community of international students at UOP, and that makes it a lot easier. I know that they have a student-run organization for people to just meet other, like, not exchange students, but like foreign students. And I think there's a good amount of Canadians, actually. I think like 10 go to school here already.
What I would say is just UOP water polo is like one of the tightest like brotherhoods I've been a part of. Like, you know, small school, so it's very tight knit. So you know, we get along very well with our teammates, and it's like no other team I've ever been on.
So you would maybe encourage them to come for the sake of, like you said, you got to move in with two of your best friends. If someone from one of your teams who's younger would maybe consider, they could feel at home as a Canadian here with Pacific Water Polo.
Absolutely, especially like a young Canadian national team athlete, even for that fact. Like, we've all three of us been on the national team for a few years now, so younger players do know us, and they know that we all go to school here. So definitely, like, they would feel at home. They'd know that they'd have guys that have gone through both pipelines in Canada and the collegiate system.
On the note, you guys talked about that there's a lot of international players on your team alone and then at the school in general. What is it like playing with and being in that brotherhood with all of those different cultures?
Well, it's very nice because, you know, every country has different styles of play. You know, we got the South Americans who are very flashy, you know, throwing no-look shots. You got the you got the Serbians who are just taking wild shots, you know, pulling up from anywhere. And then, you know, you got the Americans who are always fast. And then we got us who are just overall just the best. But, you know,
Yeah.
That's on my end.
No weaknesses.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, definitely just to add to what Jared's saying, I think like it's a great mix of different styles. And I think from the time that I got here, I came in the same class as Mihailo. So just the way that, how quickly the chemistry was formed between the team, it was like, it wasn't very forced. Like, guys like hanging out with each other. We go to the UC together. We go to the recovery room together. Like, we go to the weight room together. It's honestly like something you can't really put into words. I think like it's just really natural, just not forced, you know?
I've got nothing to add there. Yeah, I agree.
So maybe especially you could touch on this, being here the longest, this group, this season. Why is this one special?
Lots of reasons. Honestly, looking back on 2018, my first year, and then 2019, comparing the different teams we had, there's just a lot less conflict and we're a lot closer together. Like people aren't taking what's happening in the water as personal as they would before. Like we all know what we're here to do and everyone seems committed to like winning the championship. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least from like the difference between last season and this season, I think like Boggy said, the chemistry hasn't changed so much. You know, like we've obviously gotten closer, not further apart, so that's been great. But like last spring, we put a lot of work in, like a lot of time in, a lot of culture, just building almost. I don't think it was ever there because we were such a new group, and like after a couple months together, I think everyone is just so ready to get after it, like genuinely.
Yeah, looking back on it, you know, I came in 2019, which we went to the championship final. We had a great team, just as much talent as we do now. But really the difference is before we were playing, you know, with each other, and now we're really playing for each other as a group. And it's gonna...
Good old fight for him, man.
But yeah, it's good.
What was that? What did I miss there?
Oh, we can't talk about that one.
No, we had like an assistant coach one time who used to love saying that. So.
Okay. So how do you guys bring a piece of home here? And I know we have 3 different provinces. You can talk about the country as a whole. How do you bring a piece of home here? Maybe it's being together, living together, but how do you do that?
I brought my girlfriend here. She'll be for a few weeks before school starts, so that's my piece of home.
You did too.
Yeah, I did too. My girlfriend's here. I mean, for me it's a little different because at home, like my parents come from former Yugoslavia. We're Serbians, so it's not really like I grew up in like the common like Canadian household. But there's nothing really much to it. Like I call home whenever I feel homesick, and that's pretty much it.
Piece of home. I'm like an hour and a half flight away from here. Like I'm closer than some guys that are American on the team, so I didn't really bring anything. I guess I brought these guys. Well, they brought me more like.
Okay. I think we touched on most things. I do want to ask about being co-captains, seniors, leaders on the team. How are you guys leading this team? This team that you touched on that's different this year. This team that maybe has the talent that you had in 2019, but now you're playing for each other. How are you leading that extremely talented team that you see that potential in?
You guys want me to take this one?
Yeah.
I think the 3 of us complement each other very well. Like I think we all have different leadership styles, different personalities, and they kind of just mesh together really well. Like in the pool, out of the pool, we kind of got most things pretty dialed in. Like I think we're a very cohesive team this year, and honestly, I think the leadership is a big part of it because some people are good at some things, some people aren't good at other things, and we fill those gaps. We have somebody to fill everything. Oh. I gotta cut that. Yeah, but we have like, you know, just a very cohesive unit, and I think we have different personalities that complement each other really well.
Do we need to restart that whole answer?
You're gonna get a fine. You're gonna get a fine.
You know what's the worst part is like, they didn't even say anything yet. I just knew it was coming.
The whole thing?
Jokic got $50K for that.
Okay.
Scholarship going.
We're gonna have to start the whole thing.
Oh,
Just
God.
because you talk fast, it's not a bad thing,
Mhm.
but there isn't enough room for us to cut it.
Okay.
So,
do you want to ask that one?
Yep.
Okay.
How do you guys lead this extremely talented team that you see that potential in?
Really good question. I think the 3 of us, we've known each other really well, and we all have different unique skill sets, and I think they all complement each other really well. Like, we all lead in different ways, some different than others, but they ultimately are towards the same goal. And I think there's a couple other leaders on the team that also complement the 3 of us, and it's just a very, very good dynamic this season. It feels different, like there's some different atmosphere in the air this year.
And you guys touched on it a little bit, you know, and you have said to me separately too that these are your little brothers and you would do anything for them on this team. So it really sounds like it's a great culture. It sounds like, you know, maybe even if it is improving from what it has been before, it's continuing to get better. So maybe you guys can touch on that culture, that team, and your hope to win a national championship.
Long question. I got lost. I mean, that.
Okay.
I got lost on that one.
You guys keep touching about how this culture
Okay.
is so wonderful. Maybe how are you using that to win a national championship? You guys were that close in 19. How are you trying to get there this year?
Well, it's just all about accountability, honestly. You know, every practice, you're going to have those days where, you know, you're not feeling it. And if you're not doing your job, someone's going to tell you. Let's say I'm not doing my job, I know Rue, Bogdan are going to be there to tell me, and vice versa. So it's just all about accountability on the team, and everyone knows what's up. So
Yeah, you can't really have any days off. You know, like you have to come in and know like this is the only time I'm going to get today to work with the team to get better and work towards the goal of winning the championship. So if we're doing like, you know, NCAA allows 20 hours a week and we're getting like, I don't know how many practices, like 7 practices a week, that's not a lot of time. So you have to take those hours that you get very seriously and like really work towards the goal.
Yeah, just to add to both of those, one thing we really focused a lot on in the spring was just not taking things personally. We watched this All or Nothing. I think it was the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, Bruce Arians is their head coach, or was their head coach. I don't really follow football, but he used to tell the players that like he didn't not like them, he just didn't like the way they were playing their football. And that's like, it's definitely something that we've taken as a team, like upon ourselves. Just you gotta ride with that. Like it's not a personal attack when someone's getting on your back about something. It's like we have goals to accomplish, and when you're in a team, it's no man left behind, and if you want to stay behind, it's not the team for you. Thankfully, we don't have a group like that. Everybody wants to be on the same boat. We all want to win a championship, and everyone really adopted that idea, I think.
Well, is there anything, I mean, we've touched a lot on your team, which has been wonderful. Is there anything about the team this season, your group of guys, or anything on Canada, your friendship, anything that you guys wanted to add that we didn't touch on?
I just want to say I'm really grateful to be able to play with these guys and like live with them, and like the possibility of doing all that, like thanks to Pacific, has just been like amazing. Like I've really loved it. It's been like great past few years, and I can't wait for this season to start.
same as Bogdan, you know, having the opportunity to come play here in California and living with two of my best friends and just playing together on national team and for a school team has just been unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a broken record, obviously, but I think all three of us have two goals. One of them is to win a national championship with UOP, and the other is to represent Canada on the podium at the Olympic Games. And going through that with two of your brothers on the same mission all the time, day in, day out, it gets hard, but when you have two guys with you that are on the same, same wavelength, it's a whole lot easier, that's for sure.